Hello all. In last two lectures we have discussed about exception handling in Python programming language. In that we have seen various aspects of exception handling. For example, we have seen this try except block in which we write the code in try block, and in except block we handle the exceptions. Also, we have seen various methods to write try and except block. For example, first method would be try with multiple except statement. Then we have seen try with except but without exception name. Then we have seen try with except with the object of exception. Then after that we have added one more new block in try except, that is else block, where we can find out that if the exception doesn't occur, then the else block code will be executed, otherwise except code will be executed. And finally we have seen last block of try except, that is finally, that always execute the statement written within the finally block. After that we have seen raise statement, which will be used to raise a particular exception depend on some specific condition. And now we have to start with user defined exceptions. So now to write user defined exceptions we need to use one class, and that class may be user defined. The name of the class may be anything that you want, but that class should be derived from one built-in class. That name of the class is exception class. Sometimes you may need to create custom exceptions that serve your purpose. In Python, user can define such exceptions by creating a new class. This exception class has to be derived either directly or indirectly from exception class. So here you have to remember that whenever you want to write your own exceptions, your class should be derived from one class. That name of the class is exception. Most of the built-in exceptions are also derived from this exception class. So first we'll see the syntax and then we'll go for the example. Now here class class is the name of class, but it is derived from this exception class, and within class you can write the statement as you want. But in try block you will write the code where the code may have the exceptions or errors. During execution of that program it may found that suppose user enter wrong input, then it may generate the exception. But whenever that exception will be generated, that will be thrown to the except block, and the message which is given in the except block will be printed. But for that except, instead of writing any built-in exception name, here you can write the class name which you have declared in previous part of the program. And as always, else and finally block will be added optionally in the program. So let us start with the example. Suppose now I want to create my own exception. So first I will write one class, that is suppose class my exception, but as I told you, this should be derived from exception built-in class, and in front of that we'll write the colon. Now I don't want to write any statement within the class, so I'm writing the pass statement, and I will directly start my try block in which I will write some statement that I want to execute. For example, number is equal to int input. That means here I want to input a number from user, and I want to check that number whether it is positive or negative. So in try block I have accepted the number from user. Now here I will check the condition for whether number is less than 0. If it is so, then I will raise exception. But now as here my exception name is my exception, I will write the name of my exception here in front of raise statement, and in else part I will just increment the number. For example, number plus is equal to 1. Now up to this we have just raised the exception, but now I need to write except block with this my exception class. So here I will use that name of my exception class, and in that I can print the message that I want to show to the user. For example, sorry, negative number. And if user enter positive number, then in else part I can print the simple message, or I can directly print the number, for example. That means updated value of the number. And then finally I will just write that the execution of program is over. Now let us run this program. Suppose here if I enter -87, then I'll get the exception, sorry, negative number, and of course the statement within the finally blocks are executed. But if I enter any positive number, then as per our statement, number plus is equal to 1, the number will be incremented by 1 and it is printed. So this is how you can create the user defined exception. This is direct method because here for this my exception class we are directly using the base class exception. Now we'll see the indirect method too. So for indirect method we need to use one class which will be a base class, but also it is derived from one base class, that is exception class, and other classes are derived from our base class which is written in the program itself. So this is called as an indirect exception, and this is called as a direct exception. So as always in try block we write the code that we want to execute, in except we'll use the derived class, and in else and finally block we can write the statement as per our requirement. So let us start with the user defined exception but with indirect method. So we'll just modify this program. Here we have already written one class, that is my exception, which is derived from exception class. Here we'll add two more classes. For example, class fail, in bracket. Of course we need to write our base class name, that is my exception. Here also I will write pass class. Suppose my second class is 6ls. That means if user enter percentage less than 40, then I will raise the exception for fail class. If user enter percentage less than 60, then I will raise the exception for second class. Otherwise the percentage will be verified and then the particular message will be displayed to the user. So here also I will use the same class name, that is my exception. So suppose here my variable is percentage, and I will ask user to enter the percentage. And here I will check if percentage is less than 40, then I want to raise fail exception. If percentage is less than 60, I will raise second class exception. Else that else part I will write after except. So except for fail I will give the message, sorry, you are failed. Similarly for second class here I will write except and the name of another class, that is second CLS, and inside it I will write, sorry, you have second class. In else block I will write, of course, in else block I have to write if user is not failed and is not having second class, means he has first class. So congrats, you are hired. And finally I want to say good day to all, even if any student is pass, fail or having second class. So in that case I want to execute this good day in any way. So and finally I will write good day. So let us revise it again. Class my exception is my base class, but it is already derived from exception class. Class fail and class check class is my two derived classes, but they are derived from my exception class. So these are using indirect method. Now in try block I have written that I want to input the percentage from user. I will check that percentage. If user enter percentage less than 40, then it will raise fail exception. If percentage are less than 60, then it will raise second class exception. Otherwise, in else part of the try block, I have congratulated all the students who have percentage greater than 60, and finally for each student I want to give a message good day. So let us run this program. Suppose here I enter 34, then of course I'll get the message, sorry you are failed and good day. If I run and if I enter percentage greater than 40 but less than 60, for example 57, then I will get the message, sorry you have second class and good day. If I enter percentage greater than 60, then I get message, congrats you are hired, good day. This is called as user defined exceptions with direct method and indirect method. Hope you all have understood this, and this is the end of exception handling in Python programming language. Good day all.